Well, hello and welcome. This is the WWW, not Worldwide Wrestling. Instead, it's Weekly Wellness Wednesday, and I'll be one of your co-hosts. I'm Robert Arthur here at my home in Granbury, Texas, and my co-host with the mostest,
Mr. Jim Rhodes in St. George, Utah, sitting next to our special guest. And what a treat we've got for you tonight.
We do have a very special treat. What an amazing life journey, adventure our guest has been on, and it's been enriched here over the last year or so because of a gift we're about to talk about. So before we go there, just some promotions. Jim, we've been doing this for, my goodness, a few months now.
Yep, almost a half year or so. It seems like time's gone by really quickly. And the neatest thing is we want to acknowledge those who have taken time. You're the heroes in this story for showing up to get information about wellness, of things we personally can do in our own life to improve our lives, our physical lives, emotional lives, and all of that combined makes us. And we want to congratulate you for doing what a lot of the rest of the world doesn't choose to do, and that is showing up today. And I think it'll be so well worth your time, whether you're watching it at a later viewing or especially today.
Yes, well said. And again, as you said, the VIP. Yeah, thank you for being here and tuning into the story. And that being said, too, whether you're on the whether you peruse our YouTube channel or whether you're in this Facebook Live, Jim, we have such an amazing as you said, growing library of all these eclectic stories. So do be aware of that and tune in so you could share these stories and learn. So without further ado, I met this gentleman. I met his wife, I guess, first. Her name is Elaine, and she's a sweetheart. And she was so real and just authentic and, you know, beautiful lady inside and out. And then as time went on in the retreat, I was able to meet her other half. I wouldn't say better half, I would say other half, because I think all three of us married up. Would you guys agree with that? So thank goodness for strong, beautiful, courageous women in our lives. And I had a real nice chat with Craig. And then as time went on, I kept seeing Craig pop up in my story feed about his transformation. And I said, I got to grab this guy and just pull out kind of the essence, if you will, of what his journey entails and what it's been like for him and how it's impacted his loved ones around him as well. And today on the pre-brief, what comes to mind, well, first of all, his background. Let me just go there for a moment. Background, first of all, rock solid in his faith, which that's a big part of what keeps us on the straight path. Wouldn't you agree, Jim?
Absolutely.
And Craig as well. So this is a core value-based community, in case you're just learning about Zalevo. Also, he grew up in, you did grow up in Orem, didn't you, Craig?
No, grew up on the border of Mexico.
I forgot that part. So down south, and then you were in Utah later in your adult life, I'm assuming your collegiate life?
Yes, my mother was from Utah, and every summer she married my dad and made him promise that she'd be able to go home to northern Utah every summer. So every summer we migrated to Utah, and I became a Utah boy with a love of Utah from a tender age, and but grew up on the border, 5 blocks away from the border. Wow. Throwing rocks back and forth.
So pretty eclectic background there. So you had exposure to that, different cultures, different beautiful people.
Exactly. Love of the Latino culture.
Oh, heavens, yes.
All cultures.
I think we all agree, if you're listening to this, this is a culture where we don't really care about the color of your skin or your background or how much you know or don't know. We just care about your heart. So that's the essence of what this is all about. So wonderful. And at one time, you and Jim really, I just let these guys ramble. In case you're watching this live tonight or recording on the pre-brief, it was like, I would ask a question and then Jim and Craig would go, and then, okay, guys, let's ground you again. What's the next question? You also spent how many years cumulative, probably down over in the beautiful Hawaiian Islands?
right out of high school, 3 years, then 2 more 5, about close to 20 years.
Good part of his life and a beautiful place to live.
My
For
mother, yeah, my mother called me her incubator baby. Doesn't get hotter than 92, if at all, and no colder than 70, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And beautiful people. That's what makes it extra special.
They call it paradise for a reason. And
Exactly.
I've spent some time on each of those islands also, and I have to agree with them. Two loves we both share. He's todavía puede hablar español muy bien.
Yes,
And
yes.
so we have that in common, that we love the Latinos and the language, but the Hawaiians are that giving, beautiful people that just accept you as you are and come on in and let's eat.
I love it. Yeah, it's such a giving, serving culture, isn't it? And you both spent some time serving as well. Mission work down in the South America. You were in
Exactly.
Central or South, Jim, as
I
well.
served in Uruguay.
You're Uruguay, and Jim, you were in
Queen.
Chile as well.
I was in Bolivia, Peru, and Chile, all three countries. That kind of dates both of us.
Yeah, not very far
Now,
apart.
just as I got home in 1969, he was getting ready to leave in 1970. So, you know, he's just a spring chicken.
Yeah, you guys are both spring chickens. I love it. And then, and you went on to, how long have you and Elaine, you and your honey, been married?
I married her. She turned 18 April 16th, graduated from high school May 28th, and we got married June the 5th, 1973. So next year, 50 years.
Wow. Congratulations. And from
Thank
what I
you.
know, what I've seen of your relationship, you have a beautiful relationship.
Thank you. All because of her.
Yeah, it takes work from both ends, and to being flexible and loving and full of grace. And then you also were gifted with a couple of beautiful daughters.
Exactly. Yeah. And 5 grandchildren.
Wow. Life
We've
is
got
good.
2 of them up here with us in St. George right now, going to a play, Mary Poppins, to a con, something for little girls, you know, so,
And grandparents.
and grandparents alike.
Oh, yes, it's a
I
thrill.
love it. And from the work side, just a little bit about his family and his personal life. And then obviously you were in administration for many years, along with food service operator. And then your brunt of your career path has been in hospitality.
Exactly. Food service and hospitality management. And then I taught my final 10 years after a 35-year run in the industry. I taught for 10 years at the largest university in Utah, Utah Valley University, hospitality management
Well,
professor there.
I think Jim and myself would both agree. Thank you for your life of you've served other people at a high level. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
And here we are again. So before we go here, as far as Zalevo, the wellness community that we all love, let's just take a little look-see from the health and wellness perspective, if you will, Craig.
Okay.
I know Jim and myself, we kind of dug a little deeper into this. You had a love for active sports, outdoor running, you know, a very active lifestyle for what, decades?
Exactly. I used to run at least an hour a day. I loved the euphoria that running gave me. I'd do 1,000 push-ups a day, 500 sit-ups. It just really felt good. And then I ended up with cancer and went through a bout with cancer. And that, of course, knocked me down, and 6 weeks of daily radiation therapy tears into the body and the mind and whatnot. But after that, I came back and went back to doing what I was doing. But when I retired from the industry management and started teaching, I started not having the time. I had 5 classes that I was teaching, plus I was the administrator for the department, and so it was really busy. I just didn't have time to do what I really wanted to do, like run or lift or whatever. And so I started gaining weight and went all the way up to 255, I'm ashamed to say. Pants were 38 to 40 inches. And I just wasn't feeling good. I didn't have the energy or the desire to get myself out to run or walk or do anything like that. And it's a bad place to be. So I understand that. But then my wife came home and she says, well, I want you to start using this. In the mornings, I'd make ourselves a shake for breakfast. And I was using protein powder and all that kind of stuff and fresh fruits and vegetables and kefir and good things. And she says, I want you to use this stuff in the black bags. So I started putting that in.
We call it Ultra 30.
There you go. And so I started adding that. And over the months, I went from 255 to 245 to 235 to 225 to 215 to 205 to 195. I don't know how many that is. I think it's about 60 pounds. And I went from 38 to 40 down to 34. And even some of those 34s in my pants, waist, even some of those are too big. So
Wow.
I looked at it, nothing else I did. I couldn't figure it out why I was dropping. You always worry that you might be sick and start losing because you're sick. But no, it was because I was becoming more healthy with the Zalevo products. And I in my prayers, I thank Heavenly Father for what it's done for me and what it can still do for me and other people. And I hope to be a vehicle for others. If somebody sees what I've done, certainly somebody else can do it that has more than what I have.
Wow.
So.
And I'm curious, Jim and myself, we didn't ask you this question. I'm assuming it was a loved one or member of the family who reached out. How did Elaine hear about Zalevo?
Well, Elaine was preparing herself for surgery, back surgery, and the doctor says, you need to lose weight. And Kathleen, my sister, you know her as Kathy Zahn, but she's Kathleen to all our family. And she says, Elaine, do you love me? And Elaine says, of course. She says, you start doing this. That'll help you. So she started doing the Zalevo shakes and products. And she lost 35 pounds before her surgery.
Wow.
Of course, the doctor was happy, but that's when I started using that in our shakes. And of course, I'm happy from the results.
Very much so. And Jim, how taxing is it on the body to go through what Craig went through? Was there any residual from even the cancer, the radiation journey, etc.?
The uniqueness of what Craig has experienced is that when the body receives the building blocks it needs to regenerate in a healthy manner versus survive in an unhealthy environment, it is able to shed pounds safely without a side effect because it's protecting the lean body mass and muscle mass that he needed to keep up his energy, strength, and endurance. At the same time, it's helping him burn the unwanted pounds in the fat mass because his body literally turned the fat into ketones and burned it as the fuel rather than a high sugary diet that always is supplying your energy. His own body was doing its own work. And that's actually the miracle of the body. When you give the body what it needs in a form it can use with the delivery system to take it in, which was in that package, that little black bag of Ultra 30. And it's called Ultra 30 Full Spectrum, which means it is so loaded with all the dense nutrients, including the missing minerals that are so needed and the reconstruction side and the rebuilding side that it just does miraculous things. And the body is the miracle that does it when it gets what it needs. Plus, it makes it easier for him because it takes care of cravings. A lot of people are hooked on foods because of cravings, and all the willpower in the world get overpowered by that when every single cell, all 38 trillion plus cells, get what they need. The cravings just seem to do this. They disappear, allowing you to have enough willpower to win.
Well, yeah, and I'd be curious to know what if you felt some of those shifts from a craving perspective, from feeling more satiated, kind of what did that initial 3 or 4 weeks, 2 months look like for you, Craig?
I just like he said, craving is a good word. I love to eat, and having been around food all my life, you know, I could have lobster anytime I wanted, steak, prime rib, shrimp, whatever I wanted, but I was running all the time to keep the pounds off, and I was pretty healthy then. But then there was a shift in my life after being beat down with cancer, a couple other things. I started eating junk.
And that happened after when did your back surgery happen? Was it after cancer, or did
back surgery was after cancer? Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, that was after cancer, and I've had 4 back surgery. Well, one of those is my neck, but that's also the spinal column.
Wow.
So it hurts all the time, but that the desire to eat, I just don't have the desire for chocolates and sweet things and that kind of stuff anymore. I snack on almonds and peanuts and our own raisins and dried fruit that we do at our house. Has no preservatives or whatever in it, and of course with the shakes, and I've got to learn to do 2 shakes. That's my next goal. I'm doing 1 shake a day. I want to do 2 shakes a day so I can drop even maybe 25 more.
Wow.
You've had all these results, just 1 shake a day?
Yes, sir.
Wow. And it's be raw and real. Again, you don't, because some of our interviewees in the past, they were like scared to death. Like one of our interviewees, her name's Abby. I won't say her name, but her name's Abby. Yeah. She said, she's like, she was so tentative. Can I confess something? Jim and I said, oh, sure. She said, I've never did an autophagy, a big burn day. And so to be raw and real, did you just use the shake, or did you use some other formulations, or?
Did you add those in as it went through time, or did you use them from the beginning, all the other formulations?
We used everything from the beginning.
Okay, you did.
But
Okay.
One thing I do with our shake is I go out in the garden and cut two chard leaves, 2 green beet leaves, and spinach if I have it, or something else. And I put a banana in there and some frozen fruit. I know it doesn't need that, but because of that, I think Elaine and I have been really healthy. We've had a bout with COVID, but it went just like that. And hearing all the horror stories, we ran scared, being the age group that we are, 70 and
Having had cancer,
your
immune system is affected. But
Both Elaine and I have had are cancer survivors.
And your body was so well fortified, if you will. So that being said, I'm assuming when you say you used the formulations, so you were using the formulations pretty much on a daily routine.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So for those listening, he was flooding his body again with the full spectrum, as Jim talked about, all those wonderful minerals and proteins and enzymes. And then did you include the biome?
Oh, absolutely. The biome and the trim.
Okay, like Fortitude.
85.
You did. Do you play around with eVibe?
Oh, sure. We've done, and just a little bit about fasting. Because of all the meds that I was taking and stuff, I was fearful to fast. In our, even in our culture, we fast, but I couldn't. And the
But you have
first,
to take food with every one of your
exactly,
meds. Yes.
exactly. I had to take food with all my meds, or else I'll burn a hole in your stomach.
Right.
And so I learned that the e-vibe helped in the fast. And the first time I tried it, I had a hard time. I can't remember how many hours, but I think I did 60 hours the last time I did it.
Well,
Which is-
let's pause right there. Let's give, because one thing Jim and myself strive to do is give people permission to be where they're at. So meaning if you're brand new, even looking at this or hearing this for the first time, most stories you so much hear the fasting stories, they're on chapter 5 or 6 when we don't always talk about chapter 1.
Right.
So your first fast wasn't that great, was it?
No,
I'm
no.
assuming.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. And I stopped. Elaine did really well. She's got more mental fortitude than I do. But at any rate,
You did mention you like food.
I love food. But at any rate, she did well, and I tried to do what she did, but I think the last time I beat her out,
Wow.
she had to stop, and I went beyond. I'm not sure. I think it was 66 hours or so, which to me is, crazy. And I know that doesn't compare with Kathleen, my sister, or some of the other rocks that we have in Zalevo. So
No.
And that's the point,
we'll get there.
well, why even go there? Why
Yeah.
even play the comparison game? Just be you and
Exactly.
look what being you has brought you and Elaine. It's amazing what you guys have done. And how about speaking of that, let's pause for a moment, if you guys will, and let's acknowledge some people on here. And let's also open the door for those here live with us. If you have any specific questions for Craig that have come to your mind or heart, put them out there right now. We have Scott and Carol and Julie, Bill from Florida, Barb, Kathy, love you so much. Barb, 50 years. You get several comments about your 50-year journey with your honey. So love it, guys. Janie, this is beautiful. Love you, Janie. Elaine, there's your sweetheart. She gives you she gave you a guns and a blue heart and a smiley face. So thank you.
Wow.
We've got some fun people on here. So yeah, send us any questions. Jill's on here. Jill said, love how consistent you've been. And let's go there for a moment as we kind of wind this up. Do you think one of the basic, simple reasons why you've had these results is you and Elaine have simply been consistent?
I think so. And sometimes I get after her. When we take our grandkids out, it's hard not to eat grandkid food, if you know what I mean. They're fast food junkies and whatnot. Even though we try to teach them otherwise, I give them shakes and whatnot. But Elaine's taught me that, we can give a little bit and still live, and
Yeah.
and be consistent, and then reward yourself. And so today we rewarded ourselves. Sad to say.
Well, I'm glad to hear you're human.
Yeah.
And life is meant to enjoy.
Yeah.
And we aren't trying to be Puritans here, and never.
And that doesn't work for a lot
It
of
doesn't.
people.
No, you'll get so tired of it, you'll walk completely away from the good stuff and say, no, it's not going to work for me. And the real key is, and when we were talking about the fasting part, do you know how much good happens with a 24-hour? It is amazing when that autophagy kicks in those last 4 hours.
Yep.
And somebody who can go 48 hours, magic more. But it's not every time we put something good like any of these formulations in our body, and they're all meant to be synergistic with each other, but individually they do what they were meant to do, which is feed the body things that are often missing, so the body can perform at a higher level, heal itself at a higher and faster level, give your immune system all the tools it needs to protect you from the onslaught of things we're introduced to that could take us out.
Well said, Jim. Yeah, it's so true. It's a wonderful kind of armoring of our system as it boosts, our ability to be that miracle. So, and one of the questions that came across the line, and Jill asked this question, which is a beautiful question. We know that you obviously you're consistent. You love what these products have brought into your lives, you and Elaine both. Is there any other, if you pause for a moment and look inside your heart, are there any other top gifts or gratitudes that you'd like to share about what Zalevo has brought to you and your wife?
Obviously a beautiful family. We've gotten to know people like you and
Jim,
my Che here, compañero.
somos hermanos.
Yeah, como no. So just the beautiful culture that it is. It is. So I've been to a couple of activities up at Jill's home, and it's just been a really amazing feeling. And we're looking forward to August when we have the Brandon's conference and again see the family together. And so it's a great culture, which we truly enjoy. Elaine she bought into it, quite a while ago, but it took me a while, and I'm fully on board and love the family and everybody in it. So thank you for being so accepting.
Well, you're so welcome. I love how you referenced family with this community, because it's so much more than a business, isn't it? So, and your honey wants to add this. Your sweetheart said it's a lifestyle, not a diet.
Yes.
So true. It's about being mindful and making good choices. And she says, for me, it's about having a treat sometimes, which I love that. And it's a beautiful journey. And what do you mean by culture? I'd love for you to, what is Craig, am I pronouncing it? Is it Huish?
Huish.
Very well-known name here in Utah.
Huish. Okay. So how would you define, when you say you love the culture, what do you mean by that?
First thought that comes to mind is love, acceptance, common cause. Just it's easy to get to know somebody in this company easier than probably in some of the other activities that I've had in my life. A hotel association, even though you're all general managers of hotels, come together and you might get a bunch of guys that have a different lifestyle than you. And it's this company seems to be so consistently good, decent, and caring, service oriented too. I mean, my whole life has been service. We volunteered all of our excess hours in the daylight. With my wife and I have always volunteered, and it seems like when I heard about the Costa Rica thing, building bikes for little kids, I could just imagine those little kids, and so that really excited me, that activity and the possibility to be able to be a part of that sometime.
Wow. Don't you love it? Yeah. And you mentioned, as a closing thought, you mentioned in the pre-brief a couple of key words that really meant, you've already mentioned both of these words already, but I would love for you to kind of bring that up again as far as a thought you would like to leave with anybody watching this interview. I can remind you what they were. You said is to be nice and serve. And
without going into intimate detail, some people get beat down when they're young, and I just, whenever I see that, I cringe, because I felt that when I was young, and that had a lot to do with how I lived life, hiding and whatnot. But I tried to overcompensate by serving, volunteer kind of service. And so I've done a lot of that in my life, and I think I've overcome a lot of the stuff that I witnessed, but it's also made me so much aware to be kind, that I want to be kind. I think that's just, if everybody were kind, we wouldn't have what's being going on in the world today, if people were just kind and thoughtful. Sometimes we get upset at ourselves because we're too thoughtful, and it doesn't seem to reap any results. But I think the results, or the reaping, comes from just doing it, and the satisfaction that you have yourself of being kind and serving.
Oh, well, thank you. Your life has shown us that that's a decision you made years ago, to not allow that to define you as far as what you went through, to actually, well, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
Who
you.
you are, and yeah, and how you continue to serve. Jim, I'd love to get a couple closing thoughts as well.
Well, what I see in Craig is so true. The community of Salevo is like a family, because everyone is cheering everyone else on. They're getting as excited about my success and my improvement in my health using these incredible formulations, but also my income and the things that are related to my personality and things that just affect me and others. I don't know of anybody that doesn't smile at each other and just be natural, which welcomes everybody. And that, you said it at the front end, we welcome everybody, every nationality, every language, and we just learn that much more from them because they feel accepted. And from the second I stepped into the Zalevo door, even not being with them, I was accepted, and they were gracious to me and grateful for anything I wanted to add to their adventure. And that just drew me in. And I said, feels a lot like home.
It really does.
So I am so grateful that I've gotten to know him in the last few minutes, and he's sitting in my own home here in St. George because he's visiting his family here. And this just made it double whammy. We were having such fun before this call, talking about all the adventures in South America, all the adventures in Hawaii, and food and everything else that is culture. And here we are sitting next to each other, sharing what I hope becomes information that helps others to know what he's gone through to be where he's sitting right now, having beaten cancer, having built up his immune system, and having dropped extra pounds that were creating problems for him with these products is just a miracle.
Yeah, it truly is.
Could I say one more thing, Robert? My wife and I, she goes to all my doctor's visits, because when I come home and she asks me what went on, I can't remember. And so she's religious about going to all my doctor's visits. She'll testify that the doctor said, whatever the heck you're doing, keep doing it, because my blood pressure's got down.
We have to be general, but yeah,
all those things that were bothering him, the doctor, that I was taking this for, that for. He says, stop taking this, cut this one in half. He says, keep doing what you're doing. And so
I love that story, and it happens over and over with a lot of my friends that have been introduced to this product.
Yeah, that's a great point. And again, I know we didn't mention this, but we don't treat, cure, prescribe, diagnose, anything. We simply give the body what it needs to be the miracle. And I love the fact that you can actually, in a very natural way, support your body now. So Craig, again, you're a blessing, and sharing your story is a blessing to others. Thank you for choosing many years ago to serve and be the kind soul that you are. And for those watching, this will be posted. It'll be here live on this Facebook page, as well as our team channel on Facebook. We invite you to tune into that. And also a little promo. Our next WWW next Wednesday is with an amazing gentleman who's in the he's a wellness practitioner. His name is Dr. Troy Graff. They're actually in St. George again, guys. And then that's going to be a blessing. And then Monday night is Dr. Harper speaking about the epidemic, global epidemic of obesity, which we all know is facing us. It's facing our kids as well. It's very sobering, isn't it?
Too much.
Too much. So, well, we could go on, but yeah, love and light to you both. If you're watching this again, you're doing, as Jim said earlier on the call at the beginning, what 95% of the planet do not do is show up and learn and grow. So, and Craig, love and light to you and Elaine. And let's do our 1, 2, 3. We always do it. It may seem corny, but we love it anyway. Force for good here. So if you're watching this live, feel free to join in, although it'll be 30 seconds after the fact. Doesn't really matter. All right. 1, 2, 3.
Force for good. And a force to be reckoned with. Thank you.
Love you guys. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank
Bless
you, Craig, and thank you, Robert. Wonderful.
Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Aloha.